See if my mic is on. Because at this point, I'm convinced some of y'all just want to go to jail so y'all can tell y'all story about how y'all ended up in jail in Mexico.
Hi, it's your girl Bad Luck Kitty, or you can call me Kitty. Welcome back to my channel. I wanted to make this video because of a recent conversation I had. Alright, so here's the thing, right? I've said it before in other videos about documentation, right? And I feel like some of us, I don't know if this is going on in other communities, but in the Black community, for some reason, we don't feel like we need to keep our documents on us. Shay posted on TikTok about her experience, how she was traveling without her passport. She was able to get out of it. She was able to work her way through it. Her partner is a Mexican citizen, was able to talk her through it, walk her through whatever, get her out of it when she came in contact with having issues about not having her passport, okay? So she was able to get out of it. There have been other instances where people have been stopped and asked for their documentation and they didn't have it on them and they went to jail. So I just want to share my story. And I also want to give a big shout out to the Yarbros. I know they don't have no clue who I am, but I was following them when they were in Merida before I ever came to Merida, okay? So they were also part of my research, you know, using their stories, their experiences, seeing them going around all the parks and stuff like that. Like I feel, and they have really good videos, you know, like the drone footage and the good, like they YouTubers, you know what I'm saying? They YouTubers. So I'm going to also link their video below. I saw this video a few weeks ago and I was thinking, oh, I should tell my story because I feel like it's controversial. Now it's not controversial to me, right? Because there's no black and white, I feel like, but for some reason people feel like there's a gray area in this situation and I feel like there is not, okay? So on July 12th, I was traveling from Merida to Cancun because I had a flight on July 13th morning back to the US, right? So you may see my ADO to Cancun video where I talk about traveling on the bus. One of the reasons why I was so irritated on that whole thing, and I was like, you know, I say in the video like, oh, I just was having, you know, a bad time, was because, you know, the conversation that was around this topic. And so when I got to the ADO terminal in Merida, we got our ticket, got everything, and we were just sitting in the terminal. And if you know the ADO terminal in Merida Central, it's always packed, honey. It is always packed. Like I've never been in that thing and it's not been packed. And we were sitting there, minding our business, sitting there, and like literally the people, they come straight to us. Terminal full of people, they just standing there, all of a sudden they see us, they come straight to us. And they asked for our documents. And I'm like, yeah, okay, so I pulled my documents out. I was more irritated the fact that I had to pull my documents out more than anything, right? Because I've been on the bus and nobody's ever asked me for them. I was just more irritated because like I had everything packed away all neatly and I was not in the mood to reach for it. So got the documents. Honestly, as soon as they saw the blue passport book, like the woman got it, flipped it open, looked at us and like gave it right back, right? So I'm like, okay, cool. I pack it away. You know, I put my passport, my residency card away because I'm like, okay, you know, whatever, people doing their job. And then I go out to get on the bus. Check our bags in, we get on the bus and the bus driver stops me at the door and he's asking me for my identification, my documentation. I'm like, to get on the bus? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, okay. So I set my bag down, I dig back into my backpack, and I pull out the same documentation. As soon as he sees the blue book, it's like almost the same thing, right? He gets it, you know, because we holding up the line at this point. He sees it, and, you know, he takes it, he flips it open. Does he even know what he's looking for? I don't know. I don't even know. Y'all, I don't know what he's looking for. I'm like, okay, whatever. He takes it, he opens it up, he looks at me, looks at my baby, looks at what, and like, you know, okay, cool, whatever, right? We get on the bus and we go to Cancun. When I get on the bus, I post in the Brothers and Sisters of Merida group and I said, hey, today I was in the ADO terminal. Make sure you have your documentation for you and any family members. you know, I was flashing my residency card, you know what I'm saying, like a multi-pass, if you know, you know, right? So here's I'm post the thing on the screen so you can see it. And then the comments start, and people are like, oh, but they was just doing too much, da 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 da. They weren't doing too much. It's the law, right? It is the law for you to have your passport on you. Your passport gets you into the country. That stamp says you can stay in the country and how long you can be in the country, okay? Like, even in the States, it's technically illegal for people over 18 to walk around without any type of identification on them, whether it's a passport, a driver's license. That's why there's this whole laundry list of stuff you can have, because you need to prove that you are allowed to be in the U.S. yourself, right? So I know there's like all this controversy, and I know Black people, we got this history like with law enforcement, and we don't have like the best relationship. But the reality is, your ass can go to jail if you don't present your passport, right? Or your ID, or if you have a residency, right? So it's just like certain things, like I'm trying to figure out why people are not okay with this. Like Shay said, she wasn't thinking, she was just out moving around, she didn't have it, forgot it, whatever. Okay, cool, totally understandable situation. Thankfully, she was able to get out of it. But then for people to be like, oh, that's not an issue in Merida, that's not true. Talking about, oh, it's just at the bus stations, that's not true, all right? In that same post that I posted on Brothers and Sisters group, people then start telling their stories, right? About how they were jailed until somebody came to give them proper identification. So y'all think that y'all can be in the country without y'all ID, and that they're only gonna ask for it at the bus station, or that they only ask for it when you're traveling throughout Mexico? Immigration has the right to ask you for your passport. They have the right to ask you for your documentation at any time. You are a guest here. You don't live here. You ain't from here. There's no way they can like check up your social security number or anything to verify that you're a resident, especially when you don't even speak Spanish. You don't even look Spanish. And then also the other thing in regards of looking, everybody's experiences is gonna be different, right? One thing I can't change about me is being a 5'10" Black woman, okay? I can't change that. Nobody can look at me and say, oh, she's American. All right, that's not gonna happen. That's not gonna happen. Like straight up, like just straight honestly, people always ask me like where I'm from. There's this automatic assumption that I'm from a country in Africa. You know what I'm saying? Like the Nigerians been claiming me like a Niger girl for years. I ain't gonna be mad about it. The Niger girls are bad, so I'm not gonna complain. But it's just like there's the reality that there's this expected typical phenotypical look of what a Black American person should look like, but then there's also the look of what Haitian people look like, right? We can all sit up in here and act like stereotypes don't exist. Stereotypes exist, y'all. Like y'all be looking at me like, oh, he look like a da 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 da. We all do it, and we all know it exists. So then when we see it, or it happens to us, we act outraged. No, it's just the reality, okay? In the Yarbrough's video, they talk about the migrant crisis that's going on the southern border, right? Go watch their video because they explain it better. They explain how they, in a similar situation, and they explain how people explained to them what was going on. I learned about what was going on because of the YouTube video, okay? So it's like, go watch their video and they will explain to you about the migrant crisis, all right? And I mean, I'm not unaware of the migrant crisis. There was a whole issue prior to me moving here in 2022. In 2021, there was a whole thing where they were stopping a lot of African American, Black looking people on the street asking them for documentation. All right, and we talked about it in the Brothers and Sisters group, we talked about it in the Melanin Moms group, and we had this discussion, okay? Be straight up, be honest, it's gonna be different for us, right? Because the US is putting pressure on Mexico to control the Haitian immigration crisis that's going on, because you know what I'm saying? And they can spot Haitians faster than they can spot Colombians. Colombians speak the language and they look like they Mexican, you know, brothers and sisters, right? A Haitian gonna stand out. A Haitian could look like me, could look like you if you look similar to me, right? So here's the reality, all right? It is a race thing, but it's not to be like crabby or racist about it. It's the reality of the situation. Black people need to have their documents on you, okay? You gotta have your documents on you at all times. And moving around, you need to keep them for you and your kids. if you have kids with you. The other alternative is also having backup plans in place, okay? You need to have somebody who you designate to be able to get into your house, to be able to access, your home, a spare key, know where your documents are, know where your backup documents are, right? And the whole thing about people talking about, oh, a copy is good enough. A copy is not good enough, okay? A copy is not acceptable. You need to have your actual documents on you. I don't know who started the you can have a copy of your documents thing. I know that it's a thing like when we're on resorts, right? They say, oh, bring a copy of your documents with you when you're like going on excursions and stuff like that, right? I get that. I think that may be where it came from. It's the only thing I can think of. Like when we go snorkeling and stuff, they'd be like, bring a copy, keep your original locked in your safe in your room. Only thing I can think of. That's the only thing I can think of why people have come to the belief that you can take a copy of your documents around with you. That's the only thing I can think of, right? Now, I know it's about to be people in the comment section like, when I was in, they took my copy and they never asked me for it and da 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 da. And I'm just straight up saying here, if you ain't black, this might not be your time to chime in on whether or not you should or should not have your documents on you. All right? Because when it comes down to it, a white person, a non-black person is definitely going to get a pass. There's the automatic assumption that you could be Mexican national because Spanish descent. The automatic assumption you can be Canadian or American, and that for some reason seems to be acceptable in Mexico, opposed to being from other places. You're assumed a tourist, you're assumed acceptable. Opposed to if you look more like me, darker skinned people, you automatically gonna be assumed as being an other. It's not the automatic expectation. My neighbors think I'm Honduran. I don't change nothing. To me, that's kind of flex. I mean, my Spanish is okay that they think I'm Honduran. I appreciate that, even though I'm American. But they don't need to know all my business like that. But they think I'm Honduran because my Spanish is just getting a little better every day. Shout out to my Spanish, okay? So they don't know where you're from until they see that blue book, okay? And it's the automatic assumption that you could be Honduran, you could be Colombian, you could be Haitian, you could be Dominican, you could be African, right? That's where it comes from. So when they ask you, "Donde eres?" where you from, they want to know where you from, okay? And then you gotta be able to tell it to them, all right? And if they ask you for them documents, babe, please whip that blue book out or that green or yellow card, whichever one you got from immigration. Don't be out here listening to other people, especially people that may or may not look like you, okay? Because their experience and our experience is always going to be the same in the world, all right? In the world. You can act blind to it if you want. You cannot move around with your documents if you want to. That's your business. For me and my household, we're going to walk around with our documents, all right? That's what we're going to do. We're going to have our documents. For the rest of everybody else, that's their business. That's their business, and they can do with it as they like. You can also do with this information as you like. I just highly recommend that you do what's best for you, because if you go down to that Mexico jail, just so you know, if you're a woman, your kid is going to end up in an orphanage. If you don't have nothing in place for somebody to be able to go get your kid is going to be in that orphanage until you're able to get out of jail and get back to your baby. These are certain things that you got to think about, all right, and how you're moving. Especially if you're a mama, you need to move a little different than everybody else, all right? Especially if you're a black mama, all right? Especially if you are a black mama. I'm not saying this to be mean or rude, but for some reason, I feel like, I keep saying this, for some reason we feel like there's a gray area. Oh, I don't need it, and why they identifying me? You look like you're looking how you're looking. That's why they identifying you, okay? I don't know what else to say, right? I don't know what else to say. I'm gonna just end the conversation here and just say, please keep your documents on you at all times. The brothers and sisters of Merida do have a roster, a communication roster that they have that you can put your emergency contact on. Also, you need to register with state.gov. I believe it's like $12 a year now to, make sure you are connected with U.S. entities here in Mexico. Also, give a copy of a key and let a trusted friend know where your documents are and, you know, be able to have access for you and your family, okay? That's all I gotta say on it, y'all. Keep your documents on you. Thank you all for watching another video. Please like, comment, subscribe, and share. Until next time, bye.